Hello, dear listeners. It is I, the Smiling Merchant, bringing you the book Misery by Stephen King. Now, each Monday I will be reading 10 pages of the book as well as Sunday creepypastas. So, until then, you'll be graced with my presence 2 times a day. Until then, let us begin. Misery by Stephen King. 1. Annie. When you look into the abyss looks into you. Frederick Nietzsche. 1. Umber. Un. Yer. Umber. Un. Feu. These words sound even in the haze. But sometimes the sounds, like the pain, faded, and then there was only the haze. He remembered darkness. Solid darkness had come before the haze. Did that mean that he was making progress? Let there be light, even of the hazy variety, and the light was good. And so on and so on. Had those sounds existed in the darkness? He did not know. The answers to many of these questions. Did it make sense to ask them? He didn't know the answers to that one. Either the pain was somehow below the sounds, the pain was east of the sun, south of his ears. That was all he did know. For some length of time, it seemed very long, and so was, since the pain and the stormy haze were the only 2 things which existed. Those sounds were the only out of reality. He had no idea who he was or where he was, and cared to know either. He wished he was dead, but through the pain-soaked haze, he filled his mind like a summer storm cloud. And he did not know he wished that. As time passed, he became aware that there was periods of non-pain, and that these had a cyclic value. And for the first time since emerging from the total blackness which had prolonged the haze, he had a thought which existed apart from whatever his current situation was. This thought of a broken-off pillow, which had jutted from the sand of Revere Beach. His mother and father had taken him to Revere Beach often when he was a child, and he had always insisted that they speared their blankets where they could keep an eye on that pillow, which looked to him like the single jolting fang of a buried monster. He liked to sit and watch the water come up until it covered the piling. Then hours later, after the sandwiches and potato salad had been eaten, after the last few drops of Kool-Aid had been coaxed from the father's big thermos, just before his mother said it was time to pack up and start home, the top of the rotting piling began to show again. Just a peak and flash between the incoming waves at first, but more and more by the time the trash was stashed in the big drum, which "Keep Your Beach Clean" stenciled on the side. Paul's Beach Toys picked up. That's my name, Paul. I'm Paul, and tonight, Maul, just Johnson's baby oil on my sunburn, he thought, inside the thunderhead where he now lived. And the blankets folded again, the piling had almost fully reappeared. Its black, slime-sued sides, surrounded by sudsy scuds of foam. It was the tide. His father had tried to explain, but he had always known it was the paling. The tide came in and went. The piling stayed. It was just sometimes you couldn't see it without the piling. There was no tide. The memory circled and circled, maddening like a slushy fly. He groped for whatever it might mean, but for a long time, the sounds interrupted. Feu read everything. Woon. Sometimes the sound stopped. Sometimes he stopped. He first really cleared memory of this now. The outside, the storm haze, was stopping. Of being suddenly aware of just couldn't pull another breath. And that was alright. That was good. That was in fact just peachy keen. He could take a certain level of pain, but enough was enough. And he was glad to be getting out of the game. Then there was a mouth climbed over his, a mouth which was unmistakably a woman's mouth, in spite of its hard, spitless lips. And the wind of the woman's breath blew into his own mouth, and down his throat, puffing his lungs. And when his lips were back, he smelled his warder for the first time. Smelled her on the outrush of the breath. She was forced into him the way a man might force a part of himself into an unwilling woman. A dreadful mixed stench of vanilla cookies and chocolate ice cream and chicken gravy and peanut butter fudge. He heard a voice screaming, "Breathe, goddammit! Breathe, Paul!" The lips clamped down again. The breath blew down his throat again. Blew down it like a dank suck of wind which followed a fast subway train pulling sheets of newspaper and candy wrappers after it, and the lips were withdrawn. And he thought, for Christ's sake, don't let any of it breathe through your nose. But he couldn't help it. And oh, that stink! And that stink, that fucking stink! Breathe, goddamn you! And the unseen voice shrieked, and he thought, I will anything, please. Just don't do that anymore. Don't infect me anymore. He tried. Before he could really get started, her lips were clapped over his again. Lips as dry and dead as strips of salted leather, and she raked him full of her hair again. When she took her lips away this time, he did not let her breath out, but pushed it and whooped it in a gigantic breath of his own, shoved it out, waited for his unseen chest to go up and down its own, as it had doing his whole life without any help from him. When it didn't, he gave another gigantic whooping gasp, and he was breathing again on his own, and doing it as fast as he could to flush the smell and taste of her own out of him. Normal air had never tasted so fine. He began to fade back into the haze again, but before a dimming world was gone entirely, he heard a woman's voice murmur, "Phew, that was a close one." And that, my dear listeners, is where I will end. I don't want this to drag on too long. Anyways, I hope this was a good spot to stop. Please, if you enjoyed this, leave a like, a comment, and let me know if you want more. I will see you guys next Monday. Sunday, and then I will be continuing this book next Sunday. Until then, my faithful listeners, this is a smiling legend, wishing you all the fondest of Advent.